Ah, still on time. Though we cut it. We cut it close today. We were seconds away from being up. Yep, there it is. 2301.
Win. Did it.
Very, very close, but we got it. We did it. We squeaked past. Very excellent. Very excellent indeed. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about some various topics. This has been a slower news week in terms of games, and a lot of people are talking about the Steam sales, but I couldn't care less, honestly. There's no real game I'm super excited for, but we'll touch upon a couple of them in relation to another segment. So we'll talk about the politicization of sports, which has become a huge topic this week, because well, it's one of those last things that we're actually having a bit of a holdout. UEFA had said that they wouldn't put any politics in the tournament whatsoever, and then there was a huge outcry about that nonsense. We've got some more Lord of the Rings stuff, of course, as everyone is talking about that up until the Amazon TV series, where Boromir dying is soft masculinity, because what the hell not? And we've also got, we're planning a little bit of a talk about the whole idea of copyright and trademark, because a game recently came out, which we'll talk a little bit about, the Dungeons and Dragons hack and slash, which is just Vermintide, except it's not even just Vermintide, it's all melee, didn't you say?
Yeah, so like no mages, no nothing. Like they were pretty lazy with the idea. It's like, you think you'd take an IP? Well, you know what, we can digress on that later. You want to cover all of the bases.
Yeah, they slapped the IP on it, and of course we saw that with Marvel Loki nonsense as well recently, and copyright and trademark, it has deviated quite the distance from where it once was. And on that note, we also have a few mentions from our overlord, Susan Wojcicki, informing us that we are all indeed basically corporative cocksleeves, so that'll be funny. Right. We have a few super chats in. We'll just wrap those up and allow people a few seconds to realize the stream is online, since 9 times out of 10 YouTube only actually shows it up once we're live. Goddamn YouTube.
Yep. Fucking assholes. Oh yeah, I should show your YouTube on my Discord. Go ahead and read supers.
As McGann says, that most can give for a good long while. I'm afraid things are about to get much tighter budget-wise, I'm afraid. I hope you guys are doing well and will continue watching happily. Also, a Boromir thing, I'm gonna need a drink. $50. Very generous, As McGann. My dude, you've got your own IP in the oven. Just focus your money on that. You're gonna need it. All of your mun-muns, As McGann.
Yes, that is very true.
Mums.
Focus it on that.
That's gonna take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of finances, my dude. Andrew Apaletugui. That name is a little bit weird every time I read it. The like-to-viewer ratio is no bueno. That's correct. 200 people right now and 60 likes. Come on, come on.
I dropped one, 61. Only get to 69. Don't go past it. No. Slower, slower.
No, go fast, Warhammer Plus says the chat. I will do a separate video on that because it's pure Warhammer content, really, and I think we share much the same opinion on it, that most of the stuff we're getting in Warhammer Plus, most of it's stuff we already have for free. The Warhammer Vault is the only real standout, and it's like, okay, $6 a month for renting books, eh?
Yeah, I'm more of a proponent of owning books, but each his own, I guess.
Shanna Fox 2300. Well, you too, if you have a problem with soft masculinity, they have pills to fix that. They are little and blue. That is correct. That will harden your masculinity. It's true. And Hagnar the Viking. What is this Weeb's Jap comic? Maybe we'll get into that too. Gummy Bear. No message, no sticker. Is that YouTube being a little shit? And Anton for 100 Swedish krona with a sticker. There you go. The stickers should come with messages. That annoys me.
You know what's funny? On Twitch, people can donate bits. Bits are pennies. Mm-hmm. And people who donate pennies can write messages.
Yes, but not on YouTube.
It has to be like a certain threshold. I think it's $2 if I remember right, USD for American.
But we are on YouTube, a much sadder platform.
I don't know. Twitch is pretty bad too.
That is fair. Twitch is pretty fucking awful. So, our first topic, the Daily Mail of all things. So, we're going to go a little bit broader here, because the background behind this is that the Munich Stadium petitioned UEFA, which is the football governmental blah 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 agency. To be honest, I don't follow football much. I don't follow most sports, frankly. But I do appreciate that they were one of the few areas more or less separated from a lot of this infiltration nonsense. And I was hoping maybe we could see some of that in the esport too, which has been a little bit infiltrated, but sadly. They had applied for a permit to light up the stadium, which has a bunch of these large-ass light casters surrounding it, in rainbow colors, and this petition was denied. If you scroll down around about halfway, Carl, you can see it, the Alinas Arena.
What's it look like?
Like a giant tire lit up in pride colors.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
And the petition was actually denied, which was a rare little point of hope there. Like, okay, so UEFA is like, all right, this is a political statement, and we are not going to have any politics whatsoever, no matter what. And they later then came out with a message in their own little logo in the rainbow color saying, like, we've got no problem with pride, but this is a sporting arrangement. There is to be no politics. And of course, people were immediately there. Pride isn't politics. How dare you?
It
and
is.
Why do you need to light it up in rainbow colors? It's to protest Hungary's laws.
So it's political.
Oh, I see. Right then. No, it was obviously political. Like anyone. And here's the thing, too. There was actually a relatively brilliant article written in a Norwegian newspaper, so I won't bring that up because about 1% of the people watching will understand a single goddamn word. And the point of the article was basically this. Pride is no longer about just the love, which is the tagline, like, just about the love. It has become a political tag, like the LGBTQ letter. It is a political movement now. It wields political power and it pushes political objectives. Like it champions laws, and in this case, the abolishment of a law in Hungary. Like there's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Worst part of it too is the law itself. I really don't mind. The law says that you do not get to put any kind of gender-specific stuff in material aimed towards children. So no discussion of homosexuality or pride or straight for that matter. It's just like you don't put anything relating to sexuality in books aimed at children. Which I'm like, okay.
That's good.
And?
That's pretty good
problem?
because children are easily influenced, and it's, important that they're allowed to develop their own opinions without being brainwashed.
Very much so. Like that is one of the key problems. You can convince a child of pretty much everything. Like, we convince children that there's a fat man riding reindeer on a sled through the air.
At least that's innocent, okay? Like that's like, oh, he delivers presents if you're nice. Like, okay, fair.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a little childhood fantasy.
That is the extent we're talking about here, you know? You can convince a child that a fat man flies through the sky with reindeers.
As ludicrous as that is, yeah.
Yes. And so if you tell them, like, oh, maybe you're homosexual, you can probably convince them damn quick of that. And if it was just convincing them of it and then letting them work it out themselves, all right, that'd be one thing. But we see in more and more countries like England, once great England, where they're now giving gender correctional, quote-unquote, surgery to children. Like, okay, that's not something the child's going to regret in 4 or 5 years. Like, I chucked up my pee-pee. That's weird.
See, the Western world used to be the pinnacle of advancement and progressive, like, actual technology stuff, right? Now we're looked at by the East as a fucking laughingstock.
Oh, God, yes. Like... There was an article in, I think it was Russia Today or something, which was basically like they're allowing black people to play in Shakespeare plays now, and I'm like, yes. I mean, I guess we are. And in and of itself, that wouldn't be the worst thing either. If you had a really talented black Shakespearean actor, Okay, who gives a fuck? Like the Hamilton play, which was recently done by Disney or MTV or something like that, a
Mhm.
musical. Like it's really good. It's really, really good. But of course, immediately they had to turn it political as well. That was the same musical troupe that called out Mike Pence in the audience and went like, "Sir, how do you feel about serving a dictator?" It's like, God damn, shut up, dancing monkeys.
It's not really your place to do that, and it's also extremely unprofessional. But
Yes.
whatever. Because the thing is, you should keep it separate. It's kind of like, remember we talked about Gandalf, I forget the actor's name, and when he basically wrote "fuck you" to the politicians' kids and stuff.
Yes.
Like, it's one of those things where it's so disgustingly like, can't you like separate work from politics for just a moment? But these people can't.
And,
They're
and
incapable of that.
in Sir Ian McKellen's defense as well, like he did so in terms of his job most of the time, which is why nobody knew Gandalf was gay until you looked him up, because it never factored into the character. Because like the Lord of the Rings, for example, is a very unsexual book. Even the romance between Arwen, and
Yep.
God, whoever the God is. See, my only brain now is like Boromir. That's his name. Yes, Aragon. That was it. Yes,
Aragorn, isn't it? I thought the book
yes.
spelled differently. Yeah.
Even their romance is depicted as very pure. Like there's never any hint of sex between them,
Yeah.
and that's because it's meant to be a fairy tale.
That and it's, I don't know. A part of me likes when the like, I don't mind sex or violence or blood and gore, right? But like something more, not just pure, but it's much more better constructed, because instead of focusing on ass and tits like Game of Thrones did, it's like, no, let's focus on the relationship aspect, the narrative aspect, which is more interesting than a pee and a vajay, like, which is pretty primitive. Something
Yes.
about that. Better writing.
See, that's too. Like after rewatching Gods and Generals again, I'm really kind of hungering for something a little bit more romanticized, frankly.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Something that isn't just like, oh, look at how grotesque that is, because like, you know, HBO loves doing that, and that shock and horror thing that you see even in the games industry with what's that one company where they just swear all the time. It's very like, it's very corporatist. It's like you're doing it because you're trying to be edgy and cool. There's no actual reason for this. Nothing in the story has progressed from this. Nothing is really gained. All you've managed to do is just become edgy, and that's gonna make you really dated in like a year. Look at Game of Thrones. Who even cares
GM.
anymore? It's literally
That's true.
forgotten.
And to bring it round back again to the point here, one of the reasons why I was really kind of impressed by UEFA's decision, and they did uphold it as well, despite all of the backlash, was because they simply said, like, this is sports. This has nothing to do with our politics. We are here for the enjoyment of the athletic performance. It is an international event with countries from all over the globe, and all of them arrive here and expect to be treated precisely as equals, regardless of politics. And it, of course, created a huge backlash as well, particularly up here, too, because we have a lot of very outspoken athletes. And here's the thing. One of them was on the television talking about, like, oh, what do you feel about all of that? Should athletes be allowed to speak out on important political issues and so on? And first he says, oh, pride isn't political. And then he says, and we should speak out about such issues politically. Yeah.
Yep. Because of course, everything must be contemporary politics. We must make it about that, always, to further the agenda in every avenue of your life. It's like a great ad campaign that never ceases. It's awful.
It very much so is. And I don't mind, because he was also talking about how, like, oh, but we're not allowed to talk about this. Like, no. You as an individual is entirely allowed to talk about this. It is well within your rights and your prerogative to do so. You can talk about this all long day if you so choose, but take the fucking flag off your chest while you're doing it, because you are a representative of Norway. which means that you don't have a political opinion in this. You are not a political representative of our country. You are not a diplomat. You are not elected to speak for us. Just kick the fucking ball.
Pretty much. It's not their place, and it's not their right to speak for others, because it's extremely close-minded. And that's the kind of behavior that should not be tolerated in any sport or game. It should be about the game, about the you know, what's going on there. What your personal opinions are really mute and irrelevant. And that goes both ways. That's a double-edged sword, too.
It is. Like, don't... If you want to talk about it again, do. And for hell, make a YouTube channel, talk about it on Twitter. But don't do so in the official capacity as an athlete. This was one of the few areas where we had actual genuine neutrality, as close as we get to it anyways these days, and it too is now being infiltrated by politics claiming to be non-political. It's kind of brilliant when you think about it.
Their aim was always to be political. They try to masquerade. That's why the whole like SJW culture is a thing. It's like, oh, we're good guys. We're championing equality. And it's not really equality because they hate equality. What do they call it? Equity, which is the opposite of equality. It's actually fucking morally wrong. But they champion that, and they're like, this is moral, and this is what is good. So, like, you saying no to this means that you're a Nazi. Instead of you just simply saying, like, can we keep the politics aside? It's like, you're a Nazi enablist. Like, they try to politicize everything so that you're always the bad guy and you're always demonized. You never have a moment to speak or reflect or talk about anything unrelated because they're so one-minded.
That seems to be the case. And chat calls it right there. Sportsmen need to be put in their place. See...
That's the spirit. We'll take turns.
I kind of agree. I kind of like, there's too many of these celebrities today which believe that they must have an opinion and that they're going to use their platform to spread it. Like, okay, if you want to do that in your private time, like Sir Ian McKellen, for example, go right ahead. But stop pretending that you are doing it as anything more than just another individual.
We're not asking them to be silenced. In fact, we're asking them to be open about their politics, because that is the thing about a free speech society. We get to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's good. But all we're asking is simply to, you know, separate your politics from your work, which is the most bare minimum thing to do.
One would think. All right. Let's move on to the second major topic of today before we do some more of the super chats, which is, of course, Boromir.
Oh, whoa.
Oh boy, indeed.
Big smoochies.
Like I mentioned,
closed it.
The Amazon Lord of the Rings thing is going to be the biggest thing in recent television history. And everyone knows it, which is why everyone's discussing it right now. And it's also an excellent moment for a little bit of gatekeeping. A very vital moment for some gatekeeping. And they try to spin things like this. Lord of the Rings revived soft masculinity with Boromir's tender death. And it shows such a complete misunderstanding of the entire scene, really. Like, soft masculinity. That is a nonsensical term. It is a feminizing term. It's like, oh, masculinity, except this is the feminine part of it, so therefore it's good. No, this is the oldest goddamn story in the book. It hasn't been a revive because it never died. Like stuff like the Siege of Troy, for example, had Achilles. Oh, what was the name of the man who was killed? Achilles, his friend who was murdered. Because there was a whole scene there where after he was killed by the Trojan, it's been a while since I read it, so I'll just talk around it. He buried him, like kissing his brow, and then went out to get revenge specifically for that murder. It is a tender, masculine moment. It is a war kind of moment. It is between warriors in battle. There's nothing feminine or softly masculine about it.
This guy's fucking dying.
Yes.
It's
He
so
is a
feminine. Like, they fetishize a dude's death. Like, what the fuck? They're in some weird shit, dude.
it is the death of a soldier in battle after having given his life to physically shield his charges. And they're like, oh, now kiss. No, stop it. Screw you.
It's not even the point. Like, Boromir's whole sacrifice scene was him redeeming himself after he broke, like, he lost control of himself with Frodo and tried to take the ring from him. And he's like, what have I done? And then he realizes his mistake. And that's also, like, it shows the strength of his character. Like, Boromir's redeeming himself in this act where he's protecting Merry and Pippin from the Uruk-hai. And, you know, he's throwing out all he has, and then he eventually gets taken out. But then Aragorn comes in and saves him. Well, not really saves him, but avenges him, and then, you know, says farewell to a comrade, a friend. And this moment's very defining because, you know, in Boromir's eyes, he finally recognizes Aragorn as his king. Because before then, he was like, you're no king. And this is a moment when he's like, I actually understand. I see now that you can save our people. And and he asks him to basically save their people because he's seen the war. He was at Osgiliath. You know, he knows that the orcs are just keep coming and coming and coming, and the war just keeps dragging and dragging. And he hopes that Aragorn can turn the tide. And so it's like they're not even paying attention to the story. They're taking this one incident, taking it out of context, and like, meh, it has nothing to do with the fact that there's a massive fuck-all war going on, and Gondor is slowly but surely losing city after city to the orcish hordes of Mordor.
And of course, they try to turn that part around as well, where well, let me read this here. To truly be a hero, article says, to be a man, the movie says, you cannot bear your burdens in the poisonous cloud of solitude. That's how the ring seizes you. Ah, yes, solitude is how the ring works. You must be brave enough to share your doubts, to hold each other close, to see and be seen in turn. So when Boromir says, I would have followed you, my brother, my captain, my king, this simple declaration says it all. I accept you. I recognize you in turn. Thank you. Bullshit. What it says is, he is the king. He is the man who stands in solitude. He is the strength. He is the leader, and he is proffering his loyalty to him. It has nothing to do with recognition. They make it sound as if he's suddenly just like, oh, by the way, I'm gay. Like, oh, okay. That's weird too, if you mention that right now.
That's extremely weird to come out with that in your last 5 seconds of life. It's kind of irrelevant. It's like, my sexuality. It's like, okay.
It's such a twisted take. Like, they take it away from what it is, fealty and respect, and turn it into this weird mutual acceptance thing. Like, what the hell does acceptance have to do with this?
Mm-hmm. It's weird. Well, again, it's them attempting to narrative craft. Yeah, and they're trying to narrative craft. By the way, some people are new. We're not talking about the books. We're talking about the movie, because I know the books. This scene is very different.
Very different.
Very different. But the piece of media in question is the cinema, the movies, Lord of the Rings movies. And that's what they're attempting to change the context around.
Very much so. Also, I see a couple of people in chat saying they wrote this for anger clickbait. I don't think that's the case. Now, we're using an archive link.
Yes.
Just because if I can help it, I'm not giving Polygon anything. But I do not think that it's so simplistic that they write this just because they're like, oh, this is controversial. No, I think these idiots, one, partially believe it, and two, they wish to narrative craft. They want to turn this into the thing they want it to be, and then enforce it on the studio. This is what they do time and time again. They create their own perception of reality, and then they attack the studios if they don't follow them. This is how they've gained such incredible influence within these various settings. I mean, you can see it with, in 40K, for example. It all started with articles like, tabletop gaming has a white male terrorist problem, and it sounded so utterly absurd that you think it's clickbait, And yet, here we are in the modern day with articles openly stating that no, Games Workshop has to institute gender and sex segregated gaming nights. This is how they get you.
It's so weird that they reintroduce segregation. It's almost like they haven't changed. And they're like, well, apparently masquerading on as bigot, sexist, racist didn't work when we first tried it. So let's pretend we're anti-bigot, sexist, racist now, and then we'll enact segregation and equity laws that will help, divide people. They're playing the long game.
They are. And in this case, too, it is the idea of reframing the bromance, for example. Another quote here: Hollywood became more and more skittish about representing closeness, physical touches, and emotional vulnerability between male characters. The thing is, they're not trying to represent what you seem to think of as closeness. Two male characters don't have to be gay to be close.
Yes, I absolutely loathe that. It's like you have a best friend. You're willing to do anything for that friend. He's basically a brother to you, And that's the kind of closeness that you have with your best friend. It's like we're brothers. And like the idea that it's like it must be sexual. They must fuck each other. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? You can be close to men and women without being sexually active.
Yes, in fact, in this case too, like the action movie, that is what we build it on. Stuff like Lethal Weapon, for example, is it's literally the template for the buddy cop movie. There's no need for any of this to be turned into sexually fetishization nonsense.
Yep.
It's always reduced to this, and it is such a goddamn reduction, because a real friendship between, in this case, warriors, soldiers, fighters, people fighting for their nation, their entire human race, for the survival of the world, is so much bigger than your goddamn sexuality.
It's because they want to fetishize and morph anything into their political agenda. Remember, we were just talking about the whole Hungarian situation. Now, this is really no different. Yet again, they're attempting to hijack something that has nothing to do with politics and sexuality and whatever the fuck weird shit they dream up, and they're attempting to hijack it for their purposes. They don't care about the media. They don't care about Lord of the Rings. They don't care about sports. They want to use them as political tools, and nothing more.
They do. And we are going to see this a lot more now as well. There's no... the Fellowship of the Ring is how old now? Let me look that up.
Fucking age. The movie or the
that's the movie in this case, because that's the one they're quoting specifically. I mean, the Fellowship is like 1950. Right? Let's see. The Fellowship of the Ring. Wiki, give me an idea of when it was released, because it is old. 2001, so 20 years.
Fuck, it's old. 2 decades.
It is an old movie. And yet now, all of a sudden, Polygon is like, oh yes, you see, Boromir's death is reintroduces soft masculinity. Revived soft masculinity. Really, this 20-year-old movie has achieved this now, has it? How? And it is because of the Amazon show. They're setting up and getting ready for it, which is why, of course, we're doing this too. Like, no. They're gonna go for it, and we need to be ready to try and protect it, because Lord of the Rings is still a franchise relatively uncorrupted, but it is so goddamn vulnerable to it. Like, if this Amazon TV shows with their new gender and racial quotas turn into Game of Thrones, but with Lord of Rings makeover, that would be exactly what they would want it to be.
Yep. That's why being vocal about what you think about it is extremely important. Let the outcry be heard, not just by the company, but by others as well. Because even if they're going to rape Lord of the Rings, they're going to rape Tolkien's work, and they're going to milk it for every bit of money they can get until there's nothing left. That's what's going to happen. There's little we can probably do to actually stop that. But at least we can be vocal in our, detesting of that action. And hopefully, at some point, it will inspire some more movement to stop these kinds of things from happening down the road. Don't let it burn for no fucking reason. Like, that's the problem. You can't be quiet about it. Like, anytime they make a new piece of Star Wars media, yeah, sure, they're dragging the IP through the mud, but don't fucking go quietly into the night. Go kicking and screaming.
And I do believe that, again, as long as you can keep doing this actively, there is progress being made. And the Amazon Lord of the Rings one is a fantastic opportunity to put a spotlight on this, just because it's going to be that gosh darn massive. Which is why shit like Polygon here and again, like, this is not at all rage bait. It is, I do not believe it is in the slightest. If they wanted to just piss off people to get clicks, there are easier ways to do so. Hell, if just pissing off people to get clicks was the thing to do, Polygon would be writing a lot of anti-BLM articles.
You know,
that would get tragic.
They're a political organization. They basically have different motive. They're not here to report. They're here to propagandize. But what's new with journalists, right?
What is new with journalists, indeed?
There's no such thing as a good journalist.
Well, I know a saying related to that, but we shan't repeat it on YouTube.
I mean, everybody thought that Tim Pool was based. Now he's a little cuckboy.
Has he cucked again? Yeah, he probably has.
Yes, he has. As usual on Twitter. You can't hide behind an alias. You need to use your real name. Oh, so you can get canceled. Okay. All right.
We'll wrap up some super chats, and then we'll go on to the next topic. We'll delve into the copyright thing. That'll be a big thing, because that is an interesting one.
That is
with
a convoluted fucking
facets.
mess, is what you mean to say, but yes.
No. Convoluted messes can be deeply fascinating. Yes. Yes, they can.
So tragic, but yes.
Nick Mattis. Replace Smug Arch with a Booby Grumpy Arch? No. Smug Arch, good Arch. Best Arch, in fact. Shadow Fox 2300. So this Warhammer Vault seems like they are copying the Shonen Jump. Hiccups. I don't know, just putting your books online sounds like not so much copying. Sounds like doing what every publication has been doing the last 10 years now. It would be nice if they went back to making more comics, I wouldn't mind that. Black Knight 17, Hail Archchrist, our Lord and Savior. Also Squeck. See, he has it correct. Gummy Bear 21 apparently fell foul for the YouTube thing, as message retracted. Gummy Bear 21, no first super chat ever sent, so just being a boomer, and was going to say, would really love to see you, Disco, and Kibbs play Ostfront Gates of Hell to see how mad you guys can get Disco in that game. I mean, with a bit of friendly fire, I'm sure we could.
Oh, don't worry, Arch. I've got some ideas. Firstly, I gifted, because there's a Steam Summer Sale on, I gifted Disco Victoria 2.
Oh.
We'll colonize her.
Disco, you're in my sphere of influence now. What does that mean? It means I take your money.
She's defaulted on her debt to me again. Time to start another debt collection war.
Another invasion. Oh, Victoria 2. I've been playing that a lot recently. It is such a mesmerizing little game. The longer and longer I play it, the more and more I see mechanics that it needs. Like stuff like embargoes, for example, to really screw with nations you don't like would be excellent.
I know, but the game's life support got cut short. Like, if you look at its DLC, it's got a couple of things, and then they're like, meh, we're moving on.
Paradox really did not want to make Victoria 2. Like, they were dragged kicking and screaming into that.
Chat wants us to stream it. We shall. I intend to. We'll make Discord play some sort of minor nation, some sort of backward savages, and we'll take turns colonizing different sections of her country. Until there's nothing but British and French. That's kind of funny.
Hi, donated. Is there any good Warhammer 40k fantasy books with orcs as the main characters, or at least the main group? My buddy grew an obsession with the Green Boys. orcs as the main characters. I'm sure there are, but I can't say I've read anyone, so unfortunately, I will not be of help with the recommendation there. I think there was a side character in 15 Hours, but that wasn't that good of a good book either.
Oh, 15 Hours? I fucking hate that book.
I was angry with it.
There was such a even when I was like fucking a little kid, right? That's back when I was living, I was like what, elementary school or something. And I remember reading that book on my desk while waiting for Dawn of War to load, because god damn, that game took a while to load on my computer back then. And I remember going like, I don't remember, but it was just boring. It was like reading The Last Chancers, where it's just this long fucking mess of boringness. That at first I'm like, this is cool, and then I'm like, get to the end, I'm like, that's fucking stupid. Like, why did I read that? Cap Thorpe can't write books. What the hell?
This is quite sloggy.
The 15 Hours one. It's just short, and I guess that's the point. It's a little novel, but it wasn't very interesting. Definitely avoid it.
Oh yes, that's a good recommendation actually, chat. Death Squadron. That one's really good. About orc fighter bombers. That one is very funny. Victor Salazar, I wouldn't 40k going for a hopeful setting if GW wrote it more tastefully and more interesting while still having its grim dark moment. So I'm presuming I wouldn't mind if it went for a more hopeful setting. See, partially I agree, because I was always thinking that it'd be more fun if the Imperium could actually fight back to some degree and not just be like, oh, everything's fucked. The problem is they overshot the mark, obviously. And instead of providing the Imperium with merely just a realistic opportunity to resist, they instead made Gilliman bust into Nurgle's private gardens and burn them to the ground whilst bitch-slapping his demon princes right in front of him. Like, okay, there was a mark here, GW, and you have somewhat shot past it.
I mean, modern 40k is just garbage.
A lot of it is.
I know. And you hate it, don't you? You hate it. Yes, let the hate flow through you.
Rambam 3000. You can tell Pride is political by looking at how they treat gay people who don't agree with them, or people suffering from transition regret. That is a very good point. You are no longer gay, or black for that matter, if you go against the agenda. Right, let's get into the copyright thing then, shall we? Because that's a fun one, isn't it? That's an amusing topic, isn't it? It's a lengthy and amusing topic, which we'll try to boil down a little bit. So, the whole corporative thing and copyright thing, the two go very much so hand in hand when it comes to this. There was this recent article, I'll send to Carl here, on reclaimthenet.org, which is a very nice site, which I would recommend. It's basically talking about internet censorship and how to try and resist it. It's a good site. And they did a breakdown on Susan, our overlord, Wajiki, going on some random YouTube channel. Like, she will just go on like 5,000 subscriber YouTube channels as long as they have the correct politics, which tells you all you need to know about Susan Wojcicki. And she basically explains how YouTube just caters to the corporations. The reasons why they censor people is because the corporations say, like, well, this isn't very nice. And they have no moral compass in this either. In this case, the specific example is, why do they allow pervy music videos to be shown and fully monetized? Like that recent one, oh god, what was it called? The one with the refrain going like, there's some hoes in this house?
I don't know, most of that shit's cancer and I don't watch it. I listen to real music.
It's cancer, all right.
Ah, fuck, so much crap considers itself music these days. It's actually hilarious. Like, we use music. No, you're not.
There we go. Yes, I was being too gentlemanly with saying there's some hoes. No. WAP apparently, and the refrain goes literally, "There's some whores in this house." Right. Well,
I mean,
good to clarify, I guess.
I wouldn't even be opposed to the whole thing if they just merely allow everybody to make content, whatever it was, and just gate sections by, you create your account, you confirm your age. There's an adult section. There's, the kiddie section for kids to watch, I don't know, Markiplier, because he's a kiddie channel, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I am not inherently opposed to WAP,
I mean, stupid, but yeah.
a music video whose first scene has a pair of Ahegao statues spiraling around with water shooting out of their tits. As the music video then goes on to suggest that the two female singers, and I use that term very loosely,
You mean
are gushing out of their vaginas to such an extent as to flood the house. Again, theoretically, I am not opposed to this.
They're a bit horny,
But at
when
the
they wrote
same
that.
time, if we even use, if we say fuck, that will actually affect our algorithm score. Just
But for whatever
Jeez.
reason, music videos can say whatever they want. Like, it's again, it's a weird standard, and they try to use the word art. It's not really art, but
Art.
whatever. It's one of those things where, honestly, there should be no exception to any words whatsoever. Everybody should be allowed to say whatever they want, because it should be a platform for free speech. Now, they are a private company, they technically can dictate no, but it's dumb because they have double standards. That's the kind of shit we're pointing out. Because I know people be like, but you're a private company. And that's true. They can actually enact those rules. That is their jurisdiction. But they have double standards, and other people can say stuff and get away with it. There's clear favoritism at play here. So it's not even like they're abiding by their own stupid rules.
And of course, Susan just goes out and straight up admits that this is indeed the corporations who tell them what they get to show, what they get to monetize, etc. They're provided with whitelists, as they put it. And this also we see in so-called authoritative news sources. There was a time when Fox News and CNN, etc., they were pretty small on YouTube. They were getting massively downvoted every time they made a video. They were barely getting any views, particularly for their production value and the size of the companies. And then they exploded. Suddenly they were getting hundreds of millions of views, and they were super popular. Why? Because YouTube literally put them at the top of every recommended, to the point that today, Reclaim the Net made a statistical test of this, and they found out that YouTube content made by YouTubers, just people in their basement basically, they made up 5% of the trending tab now. Everything else is stuff like movie trailers, music videos, authoritative news programs, etc. And you do not, I will never believe that this suddenly just became popular. YouTube was around for 10 years previous to this. Still with music videos, like you can see music videos from a decade plus ago. And yet only when YouTube decided to mess with the algorithms, that's when people were like, oh yes, no, this is great. I want to watch more of this.
Yep.
Dumb.
It is dumb. It's honestly, I don't know. Like, the whole YouTube situation is extremely biased, and we live at a knife's edge. Like, okay, let's say, now Arch, you're pretty secure, but let's say I made the jump to YouTube, and I was like, I'm gonna live off YouTube because I lost my job for whatever reason, right? I'd be like, okay, I hope to God I don't get nuked for whatever reason, for just because they decide to, or somebody fucking false flags, because remember that happened to you. Like, anybody in that kind of situation could just lose their job making money, and they're gone. And it's like, that's horrific. That is horrific, because there's nothing you can do to defend yourself. This platform, we have no rights. We have no rights. We have no protections. Like, they can eat us, and then we're like, oh, I guess I'm starving to death today. It's like, okay. Like, people who actually make their living on YouTube, they deserve some sort of protection against the corporation, because the corporation can do whatever the fuck it wants at any given moment, and you have no recourse. You have no defense. There's nothing you can do about it. And they do stuff like this. They set ridiculous, outlandish rules that are extremely biased, And so some people get away with it because they're corporatists and they can get away with whatever the fuck they want because they're in the circle. The rest of us, because we don't fucking kowtow, we get fucked. And that's why people fucking sell out. That's why people become sellouts, because they're tired of being scared. And I understand that. But at the same time, like, there's got to come a point when this has all got to stop at some point, and somebody gives us some sort of protection.
Well, that depends upon how it... Because the thing is, if that is to happen, it will have to come from the only entity more powerful than the billion-dollar corporations, the states. And I have several misgivings with the government coming in and doing that as well. But no, we are living in very much so a corporatist utopia in many ways now. And to bring this around as well, on the topic of corporatist trademark and copywriting, the excellent example of that is, of course, how they use those things specifically. Because one of the things that people have been starting to do is go to sites like Redbubble, third-party sites that allows you to sell merchandise. And they've just been coming up with their own merchandise designs, often based, shall we say, on popular things currently. Some of you may remember the Yoda plushies that popped up around the time of The Mandalorian's first season. And that was allowed for a brief period of time because Disney weren't making their own yet. The moment they did make them, of course, they yeeted all of them.
Yep.
It's because they have the power to do so. Now, there too, like stuff like Yoda, etc., that's fairly clear copyright, but then we had the recent example with Loki, where a shirt was struck for Loki, and that was struck not because it was Loki the Norse god, which is open source, of course, but it was struck because it was Loki the Marvel character. And now we are seeing the corporations move in to refresh many of their IPs, a process they can do indefinitely. The Snow White real actors, live action nonsense, for example, is precisely that. They're thinking, okay, our warranties, our trademarks and copyrights on Snow White are about to expire, so we need to refresh it with a new version that we can trademark and copyright independently. This is one of the reasons why Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck are still with Disney, despite during the original law at the time, they should have been open source by now.
Yes.
And there lies the problem with the state's protection, because they've also allowed them to put in place rules like this, where you can't get anything away from these companies. You can't wrestle it loose from them. They have so much power over the advertisers, over the platforms, that they can keep this control and authority near indefinitely. Which is why YouTube is kowtowing to them. And I don't even think YouTube needs to. YouTube is so goddamn massive right now that if they were to put their foot down, they could probably set the terms with a lot of these advertisers. I mean, where else are they going to advertise precisely? Where is the competing video sharing platform?
Wouldn't. The only reason why they're even worried to begin with is because cancel culture and SJWs fucking harass them into fucking kowtowing. Because there's only like 12 or 13 like loud voices, while the rest of people just actually don't give a fuck. Like the vast majority of people, when it comes to any media, don't care. They don't give a shit, and that's like that goes the same on both spectrums. Like the SJWs or us. Like we're both kind of minorities by comparison. But if you actually get the actual majority to get mad, it'll be really loud. Really loud. Ugh. The worst part of it all, though, with the corporations doing that, right? The fucking YouTube. YouTube could, like you said, just not simply do what these things want. And the corporations, you know what they do? They'd work with it. I mean, I work with megacorps all the time. They don't really give a shit. As long as the profits are still coming in, they don't care. As long as the money's in the green, that's all that really matters. And so, like, if they would just say, no, you're going to advertise on every channel, and we're not going to do this whole favoritism stuff, then they'd be like, okay, whatever. Like, they'll just roll with it, because there is no alternative to YouTube, and that's YouTube's strength. Yeah, YouTube is too afraid to use their own strength, and that might not just be necessarily because they're quote-unquote afraid to. It might be because Google, Alphabet, the owners of them are politicizing it as a whole. I mean, we've already seen that with how they promote stuff with YouTube Rewind and stuff. It's extremely biased, and it's only a select number of people that are actually in there, people they can control. That's why when YouTube went against that control, they freaked out and they tried to cancel and disown him. But the problem is he's too big to be really disowned or destroyed, so they kind of have to just live with him.
That is the problem. It is a symptom of the current problems we have now, and sadly, there were some antitrust measures being taken against some of this, and I do believe that there is a lot of resistance against the further extension of copyright protections. Though I believe the latest step by Disney is to have stuff like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck declared national treasures, essentially, and therefore elevating their protection to the point that they're not open source because it's a national thing. So
better give it to the federal government instead, then. Didn't not Disney. That'd be kind of funny.
I wish.
Like, the government's like, yes, they are national treasures. We'll take those. And like, no, wait. No. Thank you for the new IPs. Thank you. It's okay. The government's so fucking incompetent when it comes to, like, online law, because I've worked with them. Like, it's a fucking joke. They wouldn't even know how to enforce it.
And there's another issue. So, the reason why the companies have gotten so powerful to the point now that they are dictating to YouTube what they get to run ads on and not, and they're using this power actively, is because there's no regulation surrounding them. There's no control over these billion-dollar companies. They can do practically what they want because the rules surrounding the internet are so very, very lax. And that was hugely to our benefit in the past. I mean, it was fantastic. The internet of 20 years ago, when you could slap a music track on a video and nothing would happen because nobody had really figured out how to do that just yet. Yep. There was a lot of freedom, and everybody had the exact same amount of freedom, which led to a remarkably even playing field where you still could have massive success for musicians making this stuff, whilst also allowing it to spread organically. That's another interesting thing as well. You may notice that unlike the yesteryears, we are seeing so many fewer rising stars, like blow-up performers, are so rare these days. When you and I were kids, there seemed to be another one every week. Some rising starlet that was all the talk of stuff, and now, like, who's the breakout music talent today?
Eh.
Exactly. It's like, yeah.
Asking me is kind of mute because I don't follow those things anymore. The things I used to as a kid, watching TV, watching those old media, I now curate the types of news outlets and the kind of information I actually take in because I've now opened my eyes and realized that most of them are just fucking lying to me because they want my money.
Fair, but you couldn't avoid noticing it. It was a massive thing. Like, being a singing superstar was like the largest thing imaginable. And again, we don't have it anymore.
Like the Britney Spears, I guess is what you're trying to say.
Yes, the Britney Spears and the Christina Aguileras, the Madonnas, etc.
The big name people.
The Ushers, the Eminem. Fuck, remember Eminem? He was literally God for a period of like 2 or 3 years.
And now look at him. He's a joke. This is a cyclical thing with these superstars. They burn so fast, they're like flash in the pan. They burn so fast, they don't know what to do with that energy, and they just sort of fizzle out. Even the Justin Bieber, like, look at him.
Absolutely, but where is the cycle restarting? Like, you mentioned Justin Bieber. That's probably like the latest blow-up superstar I remember. Taylor Swift, maybe.
Taylor Swift.
Like, the closer we get, the closer we get to the current year, the less big names there are. Like, I really do believe that the organic Wild West nature of the internet was highly beneficial for everyone, frankly. But now there's so much top-down control that it's very difficult to get something going. And even the breakout superstars on YouTube, for example, have become more and more corporatized as well. There's fewer and fewer of the PewDiePies, the Markipliers, the big names growing up and out of YouTube.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you do see flash in the pan YouTube channels. Like, fuck, what was that one that did Paradox games? He was kind of amusing for a while. I unsubbed though because I got a little bored of it. ISP. Anybody familiar with that guy? Like, you still get flash in the pans with other content. Maybe not necessarily music related. He did like parody videos on like Paradox games, where he'd edit it and make it very joking, like sort of content. Like, you still get flash in the pans, but I don't know
That
about,
is true.
like, I don't know any YouTuber that's come to mind where it's like a fucking Markiplier or like a PewDiePie. But then again, when I find out like some of those YouTubers exist that have like 60 million subs or whatever, or 10 million or whatever, and then I look at them like, oh god, of course I don't know, because like I would never watch anything like that. I don't care about makeup. Like, I recently found a really cool food channel that has 4 million subs. I never knew it existed till the other day.
The chat does bring up one interesting example of like an apparent music superstar, Tom MacDonald, and I do agree to an extent, but Tom MacDonald was no overnight sensation. Like, he'd worked for 3, 4, 5 years, I think, before he actually got his breakout video. And a lot of the reason why he was a breakout artist was because he was a rapper who didn't give a shit about the SJWs and spoke out directly against them. He basically cornered a market that nobody thought existed. Like, wait, anti politically correct rapping? Surely that's got to be a God, English. You'd think being anti-PC would be a core fundament of rap, right? And yet, no. If you look into it, it isn't.
You gotta be, can't say anything too spicy. Killing cops, that's okay though.
I think it was it was, I think, was it Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle? It was one of the black stand-up comedians back in the early 2000s, like super late 90s, that was talking about Eminem. It's like, Eminem, I'm crazy. Say the N-word. Oh no, not that crazy. Like, oh yes, there you go.
Mm-hmm. And to answer some of the chat, like, what about VTubers? Most of them are corporatists. Like, they're promoted by mega corporations.
That is very much so a corporate growth of a YouTube channel. And even then, like, that is the definition of a flash in the pan. Another one retired again just yesterday. Their career is like 2 years.
Yep.
And then they fizzle out or get cancelled.
The reason why is because they want that initial growth with a huge growth of money coming in. And all right, they've done it. Coco, her valuableness is over. She made her money. Get rid of her. Replace her. Repeat the cycle over and over again. The casuals will consume it. They don't give a shit. Use the term graduate, whatever, doesn't matter. Any sort of like nice, friendly, bubbly, warm praise. He's graduated. You're fired. Get out.
That does seem to be the business structure.
Yes, you supporting the VTubers, you're supporting the idol industry, which is extremely cancerous.
Chat mentioned V Shoujo as well. Yes, what is V Shoujo?
Another corporation.
Yes, precisely.
Another corporation. They use them, and once they're fulfilled their usefulness, and their green numbers aren't as green as they once were, it's time to replace them with newer and shinier talent. I'm thinking in terms of their perspective. And it makes sense from a corporatist viewpoint.
I do have some optimism with V Shoujo simply because it is a Western company, so perhaps they will not be quite as predatory.
Hold on a second. You think Western companies are absolved of sin? Shall we discuss Activision and the rape of Blizzard? I'm not getting up my high horse. It's nice up here. Like the breeze.
That's going to be the next copyright thing too. VTubers, specific items of clothing, or I'm not even kidding. There'll be a point where they will have like items of costume, which will be carried over from person to person as sort of a mantle kind of thing. And they'll essentially be handing over their channel to a continuum to try and restart the popularity each time. That'll be the next thing. I've seen it I've seen it in my scrying ball.
You've seen it. He shook his little 8-ball and said yes.
Very much so. But what can we do anything about it? Is there anything that can be done? Now, in the case of the copyright and trademark, because that is, again, the fundamental part of all of this, the reason why the corporations have infinite money and infinite power is because they can keep a hold of the things that are popular for all eternity. And it is very difficult to make a popular thing. It is very much so lightning in a bottle. Like, if you try to recreate Star Wars today, even if we say that Star Wars never existed, right? Star Wars was wiped from memory, and you relaunch Star Wars today, there is no guarantee it would be as successful. In fact, probably it wouldn't, because nobody expected Star Wars to be a success. It was a low-budget, random-ass action movie with glowy swords.
Yes.
And yet it tickled that something in people.
You're so right, because sci-fi at that point, sci-fi by the time Star Wars rolled around, was viewed much by the Hollywood elite, and a lot of the actors that actually participated in the movie, that it was a bane of like media, of fiction. Sci-fi is disgusting. Most actors that played in the Star Wars movies hated Star Wars and hated science fiction as a whole. Isn't that fun?
And it became a very, 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 very big deal.
Fuck, even George Cuck Lucas fucking, he bet against his own movie. And to be fair, like, he sucks. Like, the only reason why Star Wars was successful as it is, it came out at the right time, nothing else was interesting, it was a dead spot, and the editorial team managed to save it. And by and large, a lot of the original core themes of it were pretty good, even though there's a lot of contradictive things that are going on there.
Yes, and a lot of standout performances as well, like Darth Vader's voice actor, who's not the guy actually playing Darth Vader,
Yes.
man. Like, that is such a good mix.
Oh, fuck, I can never remember his name. He played a character in Tiberian Sun. Fuck, chat, black dude. What's his name? He's got a glorious voice.
He does.
He could
He very much so
serenade
does.
you to sleep. Like, he's got a fantastic voice. He better not be
He
dead,
does.
is he? Oh god, I think he's dead.
I'm sure they're all dead, Kyle. It's fine.
No.
It's okay. It's fine. You'll get Harrison Ford. You can play with him instead.
Harrison Ford hates Star Wars. He's also a douchebag in real life. I've seen his interviews when, like, somebody's like, I like Star Wars, and he's like, I fucking hate you. And it's like, I can understand, like, you're sick of it, but, like, wow, what a
James
piece
Earl
of shit.
Jones. That was it. Yes.
James Earl Jones,
chat.
the mad lad with the fantastic voice. He had an amazing voice.
Now, what they could do,
Oh, he's still alive, thank
and
God.
the problem here is, all of this is going to rely on the government. Government force. I know. See, I used to be the kind of guy too who was like, no. As little governmental authority as humanly possible, because government cannot be trusted. And that's true. But corporations can be trusted even less, because I can't vote out the board members on Disney. I have no power over them. And stuff like trademark and copyright, it should be given a good long period of time to really grow, really situate itself, earn all of the money it possibly can, but after that it should be given over to the public to continue in whatever way they see fit. Personally, I think that author's lifetime, absolutely, and tag on a decent amount of time after that, like 50 years. I think that is more than generous. Lifetime plus 50 years. You're talking 150 years of exclusive copyright. That's very good. And yet now we're looking at, what's the current? 75 years?
Oh, I thought the current was 50.
I think that was the one they were trying to change.
See, look, when I'm long dead and gone, and I'm dead, I don't give a fuck. You want to mess
Dead.
around with my IP? Go for it. Have fun. Don't fucking let Disney buy it.
Right, so...
Scary.
Yes, that was the thing, because it's supposed to run out in 2023, and the original copyright terms was in 1790, and then it was 20 years. 20 years was all it was then.
Damn. And that's after death of author. The thing is, that's pretty generous as is. 20 years is
Even 20
insanely
years
generous.
is quite a lot.
Like, you can make tons of stuff with it in fucking 20 years. Like, the think about it. If the Lord of the Rings movies like the guy died then. Like the movies, they're aged now. That was all the time they had, and they got to give us three shitty Hobbit movies. Yay! Like wow. Yeah. That's the thing, though. Like it shouldn't be. You shouldn't be able to. GW should not be able to retain Warhammer 40k forever. It should eventually become public domain. Yeah, I'm sorry, you got to make new shit, boy. Get out. They could still make models, but other people could start making stuff. Now
the original copyright was actually only 14 years.
See, now that I know this information, I'm going to abuse the system if I ever get a large sum of money. I'm going to hoard IPs like EA does and just sit on them like, they're mine.
Mickey Mouse began in 1928, so it should actually have run out quite a while ago.
Look, Mickey Mouse is public domain. Like, anybody that's pretty much been alive that made it's dead now. Like, what the fuck?
It should have expired in 1984.
Jesus Christ. Like, there's the idea that these are going to be centuries. Like, think about it. In 100 years from now, is Disney still going to own fucking Star Wars? Like,
probably.
Jesus Christ. Like, go away, Disney. Die.
Unless George Lucas' descendants takes it over.
He sold the rights, didn't he?
Well, he can sell it back again. He'll buy it back again. I'll take it over.
I don't know if Disney's willing to part with that IP. That IP is it should be a guaranteed moneymaker, but somehow they've just managed to fuck it up.
And another great thing they could do as well, and this I think is the best one, is to actually extend protection for derivative works to people. That would help a lot for YouTube as well. Like, if a person makes a video on Star Wars, for example, like the brilliant little live-action things that they made a while ago, which was definitely clearly Star Wars, but it was an entirely fan-made production, that should have its own copyright. That should be like, no, this is my Star Wars. This is Star Wars 2. You know, Star Wars 5,000 blah, blah, blah registration number.
Like, it's a little bit sketchy, because then Megacorps can fucking abuse the shit out of that. That's my fear. Not necessarily the little guys. Because, like, okay, let's say I make my IP, or you make your IP, and we sell it, right? And it's like, yay. And then Megacorp like, huh, that's profitable. I'm gonna make something out of that. And it's like, no, I'm still alive, though. At least wait till I'm dead, you fucking asshole.
There are many pitfalls with it. It is a darn complicated topic as well. I do hope we'll see some change to it. Also, in case of YouTube, maybe give some basic employer rights to your YouTubers. That'd be nice.
See,
that'd be adorable.
It'll be a double-edged sword when we do get fucking protection. It's like, oh, you have protection now? Now it's going to be like Twitch, where you can only do, like, I can only stream on YouTube, and I can only do that. Because I'm a multi-streamer. I do both. And, like, I ain't going to fucking just put all my chips in one bag. I'm not retarded.
A Disney extended copyright to 100 years, the chat says.
That's
there you go.
Fucking abysmal. That's a century.
Yep. That's a nice thought of that. And I'm sure once the century is up, they'll want more.
Like 2 centuries, and they'll just lobby and lobby in government, because corporations can just lobby in government. See, corporations should not be able to lobby. The individuals who own the corporation should be able to speak their
Lobbying
mind.
Is an unfathomably bad idea. It has legalized corruption, in my opinion.
It's like Megacorps, yay! And now we have Megacorps. We have them. They're here. I didn't think that we had them when I was a little kid. I was like, ha ha ha. Megacorp is a meme in a cyberpunk universe. Like, no, they're here. Alphabet exists. Like, they exist. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Microsoft. They're all fucking too big, and they must be broken up into littler companies.
And, of course, we see the other thing as well, with which the companies now just slapping their trademark on anything and everything, as in the case with the Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance video game.
Oh boy, let me pull that up.
Where literally all they did is they took Vermintide, trimmed out half the content, and slapped Dungeons & Dragons on it, and expected it to sell. And the worst part is, it did sell. It's being hammered in the reviews now because it's goddamn awful, but it's having its little asshole tongued by the usual suspects, obviously, and people are being tricked into buying this purely because it says Dungeons and Dragons at the top.
This happens quite a bit. I mean, this happened in the case of the Warhammer 40k Fire Warrior video game. Like, it was, so they get a license from the corporation, and that's, you know, the corporation can hand out licenses if they so choose. That's their decision. But it's so lazy because it's like, is it really capitalizing on Dungeons and Dragons? Like, we looked at this on Discord, and I was like, you know, like, where are, okay, let's say they wanted to make a Dungeons and Dragon themed Left 4 Dead. Okay, cool, whatever. But like, how creative were they with it? Like, did they have a wizard? Did they have like some magi classes, a druid? No, it's just a bunch of melee characters, and there's one character with a bow, but like most of their abilities are melee. Like, it's all melee. Like, it's not even like, it's got the skin, it's got the paint job of an attempt to be like, I'm a Dungeons and Dragons video game. But it's like, it doesn't have any actual Dungeons and Dragons aspects. It's very lazy. And these are sort of lazy-made games where they can just buy the license, put a paint job on it, and they'll get extra sales than they otherwise would. If they just called it Dark Alliance beforehand and sold it, probably not so much. Probably would have been a wet fart, even more so than it is now. But because it's got the Dungeons and Dragons little thing on it, it gets a lot more credit than what it's really worth.
We slapped the trademark on it, now pay us. Like Dawn of War 3, for example.
You like that game?
No.
Arch was like, Dawn of War 3
you're gonna have to play it again soon.
No. Not unless I get
It's the
fucking
4th of July
$1,000.
soon, Kyle, and you have to play it then.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play Broforce again. And you should have seen
Yeah,
it
but then
last
you
year.
have to play Dawn of War 3.
Fucking Arch just played a few hours of Broforce, like, I have a headache.
It's an awful game.
It's
It's
too much,
really, really
too
good.
much action stuff was going on the screen. Like, my head. It was funny. 4th of July
Let's
is
go
approaching.
through the Superchats. Streamlabs, Dark Innovator. Arch, what happened with Godblight? With Gilman wasn't the Ultramarine Primarch. To spoil the rumor, heard the Emperor as a warp god possessed and worked through him, breaking Nurgle's cauldron and Daddy humiliating Mortarion back to Grandpa Nurgle. That sounds worse. That sounds actually worse. And it's still Gilliman. Now, why is the Emperor possessing Gilliman? I don't even know. See, I don't even want to read these books because I'm just like, this sounds dumb, and I don't like it. And Glowy, I would complain less or have more respect for YouTube if they just came out and said, if you pay us $1 million, we will allow you to do whatever you want. I suppose. Though at that point, it's not even $1 million, is it? It's like $1 million per year. Thank you. And Glow again, corporations are wet blankets on the fire of creativity. Well said. Only those that find an opening or have a deal with the Devil Corporation are able to okay, my brain, are able to allow to flourish. And yet the corporations usually strangle even that for quicker profits or monopolize profits. Yes, as we saw with EA, who is currently sitting atop their desecrated treasure trove of IPs after having snuffed out the companies that made the games.
And now they're teasing, by the way. They're like, we're going to bring back one of these dead IPs. And it's like, a part of me is like, yay, maybe it's Command & Conquer or Dead Space or Dungeon Keeper. And then I stop myself, it's like, wait, I'm celebrating the fact that they're resurrecting something they killed. Those little fucking assholes.
Yeah, they're dragging out the corpse of something and going like, look, we might give it back to you if you pay us loads.
Remember you liked this franchise. We need money so we can refresh our fucking... They're doing what Disney's doing. They're refreshing their fucking goddamn IP.
Pretty much. Like, you saying, I want new Command & Conquer game so bad. You just reset their fucking copyright, you slut.
I want it so bad. Honestly, I really would just like a Tiberian Sun and Red Alert 2 remaster. That'd be great.
Honestly, remasters would be far better because at least then they're giving us something we already know is good instead of kind of make Dungeon Keeper and like, you said Dungeon Keeper mobile, Kyle.
No! The best part is somebody apparently modded that so that you didn't have to do the timers, and there's actually a decent game under that. I found that hilarious. Wow. But the timers and the other things prevent you from actually enjoying the game because they want money.
Weird, that. Almost as if they did so on purpose. Though Tiberian Sun 2, like, Tiberian Sun just needs to be like, no. Tiberium 3 never happened.
Yes.
Just get back to GDI and goddamn Nod, because they were cool.
I don't mind the Skrin invasion, but I hate the retcon they did after Firestorm. It was like, the Tiberium crystals went from their fucking, like, life-formy state to just turning into a solid crystal. I was like, that's stupid. I like the fact that the Tiberium was a resource that you harvested in an RTS that had, like, ramifications in lore and gameplay. It made mutants out of your soldiers if they ran across it. It would spread across the map if you didn't harvest it. Like, it was actually consuming and changing the biosphere of Terra. Like, it's pretty fucking cool.
Yes. Which is why we can't have that as a mechanic anymore.
I actually read the Tiberium Sun lore Bible that was supposed to be for Tiberium Wars. They didn't. I don't think anybody at EA read it though, but because they sort of just ignored 90% of it. Oh.
We'll get another mobile game, and you'll have to enjoy
it. No, not another Rivals. Oh God, when they announced it, I was so fucking mad.
Hagnar the Viking. Why can't we just watch a TV show about the Malian kingdom full of Africans and concept, not stop with this cringe race swapping bullshit? Well, because it's no fun. It's no fun. If Netflix is like, right, let's make a series set in Africa, they'll just be like, well, this is boring. Where's the action? It's all the cool shit. Make a goddamn TV show about Shaka Zulu. That would be great, but it would also be a really big problem because he was a genocidal maniac.
Mm-hmm. Also, on that note, note in chat, no, per Planetary Missionary, but they're saying stuff like, what about Warcraft 3 before? It's just bad. So the thing is, you're right, it is. It's a lazy remaster. Warcraft 3 never needed to be remastered. It was fine the way it was. It worked just well. All I want is games that don't work to be remastered so I can play them again. Because I couldn't play the original Command & Conquer or Red Alert 1. And now I just want Red Alert 2 and Tiberian Sun so I can get the complete package. Generals would be nice because that's a pain in the ass to run too, actually. But by and large, I only want things to be remastered if they don't work anymore. That's the games that need it. It's like Diablo 2 remaster. Does it need a remaster? No. What are they remastering for? Because it's the popular one. The one that would need a remaster more than the newer one would technically be the older one. That's why Warcraft 3 Reforged is such a terrible thing. They remastered the one that was fine. Warcraft 2? Maybe. Warcraft 1? Definitely. That game is a nightmare to play. Oh my god. Maybe a remake as a whole. Fuck me. That was a terrible game to play. Oh, the controls are terrible, Arch. You should play it. It's $10 on GOG.
No. It's you who plays that.
You click one unit at a time and give it an order. I think you can group click up to 4.
No. Sounds like that's your problem, isn't it? A guy under a bridge. This must be Ho. The Tao discusses the greater good. Ho. Lancelot 652. I don't know if I'd call being filled with arrows a soft death. Well, comparatively to being eaten by the orcs. Soft death. Soft. Gentle. Also, why was Lutz the only orc who could use a bow? Okay, answer.
Who's Lux? I'm too busy trolling chat. Trying to collect salt. Who's Lutz?
Lutz.
What's Lutz from?
Lutz.
What is it?
That was the name of the orc with the bow.
Oh, why is he the only one with the bow? Well, technically the Urukai had... You know, that's true. In the cinema, they only used crossbows mostly.
Yeah, so why can't? Let's explain.
Because he was so powerful. Like, he was pulling that bow back and it was firing like bolts of death. I was like, I don't know. Fuck you.
A pretty awful explanation right there, and I don't approve of it in the slightest. Chat, go to Kyle's channel, download his videos, make him pay.
Why?
It's engagement, Kyle.
Downloading your videos makes it... What? What are you on about? What kind of drugs have you consumed in the last 5 seconds when I wasn't paying attention fully?
Emma Otaka. Not saying you're not a racist is racist, but so is saying you're not a racist.
Also, his name is Lurtz.
If you're a racist, you're racist.
Not Lutz.
No, yeah, Lurtz. That's what I said. Lutz.
You said Lutz. It's Lurtz.
Lutz.
Lurtz.
Lutz.
No.
Lutz.
Hard R. Hard R. Lurtz.
Lutz. You sluts.
Lurtz is not a slut. Lurtz wanted to give Boromir the kiss. That's why he was arrowing him, so he could rape
Lutz.
Or maybe he's a necrophilic. I'm not quite sure.
Well, you need to speak it correctly, little dum-dum. Whatever. Well, Shadow Fox 2300. Yeah, I can tell you why they don't understand that feeling, because they don't have anyone that will sacrifice themselves for them. That is a good point. Guy under a bridge. I mean, it's just the same old story of these people being unable to see two men with any level of interaction as one step away from effing on the table. This is why we get gay jokes made about us, okay? It's because you lack tolerance. Yes. Yes. There should be more gay jokes about bubbles instead. Yes.
There should be. But the thing is, you mind it more.
Outcome. 40k story idea, a Krieg Gosman, but he's a perpetual. Now that would be a hellish existence. I can't die. That's weird. Try again. Still can't die. Well, he'll be an officer soon, though, so that will be fun for him. Crazy Loon. Hey, Arch, think you could ever give us videos of explaining Norse mythology the Archway? I have considered doing mythological lore videos because they'd be funny and they'd be really, really dumb, because most all lore is really, 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 really stupid.
Yes, you should do Egyptian mythos where they coom on each other and the coom is poisonous.
No, I need to do Balder, because Balder's mum was so goddamn overbearing. She went to every living thing and every dead thing in the universe and asked it personally, please don't hurt my son. Every blade of grass, Kyle, every rock, every atom of iron in the ground, except for one mistletoe, which she missed on top of a hill, which Loki was like, I'm gonna go fetch that. And so Balder was killed by mistletoe.
That's kind of stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. This was after he fucked was fucked by a horse, by the way.
God damn it. See, maybe Loki's a low-key white girl.
Kyle, that's very derogatory, and I disavow.
It is, because it's true. He just wants that big cock.
Equine penis is the preferred term around here, Kyle.
Like, oh, split me in two, Daddy. What the fuck? Loki, stop.
A guy under a bridge. Hear me out, Arch. Saving Private Bone Chewer. Orcs. Disavow. Silence Do Good, 1776. It's possible for us as a collective to buy up enough stock to get someone on YouTube board to fight against this. No. Because you'd need to organize way too many people. Collective action is difficult action. Dare disrespect German mythology, says chat. It's nothing Germanic. He's trying to do copyright, that's what he's trying to do. Like, Germans, no. No Germans. Olav Evrebro, do you think there's a risk of GW copyright striking lore videos now that they themselves move into the space with Warhammer Plus? A risk? Oh, absolutely. Will they be dumb enough to do so? Well, we'll see. The thing is, in that case, it very much so depends on the style of the content, because I cannot imagine that you would be unable to argue transformative for a lore video that is 100% your own audio work, your own interpretation, and your own take. Now, if you happen to be One Mind Syndicate and primarily read off the wiki, I'd be nervous, but...
Oh, shit. Sorry, that's fine. You think he's scared?
Maybe. They could probably argue copyright. They could. But again, I think you could be able to argue transformative quite well. And it'd be very it's a highly educated audience as well. That's too. It's a highly aware audience. You could very clearly tell the difference between an official Games Workshop project and a fan-made one. But it's a danger. Yeah, they might do it. They're Games Workshop after all.
I mean, you're familiar. See, I know you're not big on Star Trek, but there has been massive movements in the fandom because they wanted actual shows and good shows, that they actually got the original actors and a lot of the composers from the actual shows and stuff, and even some of the original writers to help make fan-made shows. Now, I forget this company that owns it, but they tried like several times, and I don't know what's happening with that. Is it Paramount? I think Paramount owns it, if I remember right. I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, they've tried to make movements for their own fan stuff, like whole-blown TV shows, like massive like efforts, and like every time they get shat down, like all the time. And then they hand us Discovery. It's like, damn. Really giving what the fans want, I see.
Yep.
And they're like, don't worry, here's
We-
Picard. It's like, what have you done to my boy? He's a fucking cuck now. He's a Jean-Luc, no.
It is much dumb.
See, this happens to everyone. Everyone's getting the shit. You know what's kind of weird? Is sometimes they do ignore it. Like, companies like Blizzard and Activision, they generally, not genuinely. I haven't seen them crack down too much on fan-made stuff at the moment. And again, I'm not super into WoW anymore because, you know, they fucking rape the shit out of it. Thank you, Activision.
I'm sure they'll get to it. Glowy, the year is 2900 AD. The annual Disney Wars will begin once again to decide if the megacorporations can keep the IP Mickey Mouse. It's the 7th such war. Usually, Disney can keep IPs, but one IP renegades dare to become independent, the Legion of Terrestria. Kyle will be bought out by Disney.
No.
Kyle, no. Kyle will sell out. Kyle will be George Lucas.
No. See,
And his name will go down in infamy.
everyone has a price, and my price is retaining 100% executive control and ownership of the IP. That price is far too high for any corporation to take because there's no guarantee. It's basically like, I want money and support. You can have a percentage of the profit. You can have some
Kyle says
sloppy
that.
seconds. Like,
Until he
I
gets
want it.
slapped across the face with a waddle of bill, and then he goes, "Hola, hey, go," like, "Rape me, daddy senpai."
No. I'd rather
You will.
live poor in
You
a
will.
fucking shack than do that.
He won't. He'll break, and when he breaks, I'll be there to tell you all. Daychrist donated $50. Very generous, thank you. Both of you are fun and are common sense oriented. Well, I'm fun. Kyle is Kyle.
What?
See?
You're being a little
Doesn't
gay
he
boy?
argue? He doesn't even understand. He doesn't even understand.
Being a
But
gay
thank
boy.
you, nevertheless.
Gay boy.
Glowy. If you're wondering how they got Kib's IP, in the year 2052 they captured Kyle, tortured him, and got him to sign over IP, including his corpse. Even to the year 2359, they used his corpse as an attraction. I imagine Kyle will be fat enough to make a nice ride out of.
Nice.
They just hollowed him out and turned him into a
I'm not even
into
fat,
a roller coaster.
They're sitting me. It's like, wee, my little arms are flopping out in the wind. Because the bones have long shattered by then.
Oh, they've stiffened them up.
They stiffen them up. Little supports inside. It seems like a
Little supports
very,
inside.
a very long process here.
No. Desert Hamster. Trump made a Rumble account. I think Trump made little account almost everywhere that was never used for anything. Poor Trump.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Trump existing. I also forgot about we had a president until like the other day. People were like, "Oh, Joe Biden did something stupid." I'm like, "Wait, we have a president?" Ah, fuck, I even forgot. I forgot we were a nation state again. Happens sometimes.
Theoretically.
We have borders? What? We're just a homogenous pile of land. Sort of.
Well, you wouldn't be homogenous if you didn't have borders, Kyle.
I guess we're genus.
Kyle doesn't understand the meaning of the word homogenous, just like he doesn't understand the meaning of the word truculent.
I knew you were gonna segue to that. He's been on that tangent since I don't even remember how long ago. It was like only a couple of weeks ago. I think it was during a Barotrauma or an EDF stream.
No, neither.
What was it?
MechWarrior.
You mean Cum Warrior? Mm.
You might even say that I was being truculent about it if you understood the meaning of that word.
Oh my god, you're using like fucking like okay, so Mr. Assyrian, he got mad because I threw I heard the guest there. He got mad because I threw shade at him because he's like, you don't know what truculent mean, and the whole chat's like, what the fuck is Arch on about? I'm like, I don't know. He's just using old ass Assyrian tongue because he's like, I'm gonna use this Mesopotamian word because I'm so old and decrepit. It's like that word has fallen out of use. Like he's over there fucking slinging shade in Assyrian because he's like, hey, I'm relevant. Like, you're still stuck in the past, old man. You're still...
Incorrect.
The Assyrian Empire fell fucking thousands of years ago. He's like, no, they're still relevant.
Uneducated barbarian.
Mesopotamia will rise again.
Boang gives me 2 tacos to say Coco didn't get fired, she left, and there are many VTubers then Hololive, heck, lots of manga authors becoming VTubers. Pochi Sensei, for example. Well, again, she
Boog's
says
a
she
corporate
left.
simp. And also, that's exactly what idols always do when they get cancelled. Boog, you illiterate chimp. He's like,
Though he is correct in that there are a lot of VTubers now. It's been a big deal. Like, there's a lot of people who have become VTubers. 99% of them never get anywhere. 100%. Yes,
True.
100%.
Very true.
Very, very true. It's like the recent event.
Oversaturation.
Like, Coco is like, I'm leaving by myself. Just like John Boyega saying, I have to quit filming now because of family issues. You had a family? No? Boeg says, V Shoujo is full of pro-BLM Marxists.
Damn. Arch, how do you
Having watched some of them and how cursy and raunchy they are, I feel like that's a very terrible idea. If they find out, they'll be cancelled awfully quickly. Lord comes on Spartan. There's a neat YouTuber that I found a little while back that is kind of blowing up. Look up DJ Peach Cobbler. He's got gimmick and slick editing. Editing. I hate editing. Anyone who does editing is a shit, dirty stain upon the human race.
Boog, he's pleading. He's like, meh. He's gonna throw tacos. You still haven't delivered me my tacos, Boog. Come on, chop.
I don't like people who do editing.
They should be banned.
They should. There's nothing worse than a person who does editing.
Yep.
That Reeve guy. Kibbs, explain Holostars then. Yeah, do it.
What the fuck is Hollow Stars?
It's the male branch of cover of the VTuber stuff.
There's a male branch?
Yes, half of them have already graduated, but there is one.
That's funny.
Oddly enough, they are not as popular as the female branch.
I wonder why.
It doesn't matter. Cyber Anime Alien. Why did people hate sci-fi back then? Kyle, go on a rant explaining why people hated sci-fi.
Just how they viewed it. I can't honestly tell you what their entire thought process was, but a lot of actors and writers.
Good enough. Expand.
Think about it. How many old sci-fi novellas do we have? We have the John of Mars or something. What's that one called? That's like one of the older ones. The one where it's about a character goes to Mars and they sail with the solar winds.
John Carter.
John Carter. That's the one. Like that's
yes. John Carter is kind of like Conan in that it's a self-masturbatory isekai power fantasy.
It is, but it's one of the older sci-fi pieces out there, and it's not that interesting either. Like it's very much fantasy. There's some interesting stuff in it, but
the point of John Carter is I have superpowers now and I get to fuck hot babes.
He's like, I get to fuck Martian women.
Suspiciously human. They're
basically human. Yeah, John Carter. I mean, I kind of like John Carter because it's kind of endearing. It's like, oh, look at this proto sci-fi universe. Like, sorta. Well,
it's not even proto sci-fi. It's Conan, but in space.
It's also ancient. It was written in like 1900s. 1910 or something like that? 1920?
1912.
Damn.
Actually, is it proto Conan or is Conan proto that? I need to figure out. Conan.
Because John Carter is ancient.
Conan is
most people don't even know about it.
Never mind. Conan is John Carter, but not in space. There you go. Because Conan only popped up in 1952. That was the comic, though. When's the original? Conan Barbarian by Robert E. Howard. Is that a... Holy shit, is it a book? I didn't even fucking know. I thought Conan was just a stupid goddamn comic series.
No, I'm pretty sure it originated from a book. Because
holy shit, I want to read that book. I want to read that book now. When the hell did it come out, then? Conan the Barbarian.
Let's not look at this chat.
Find out where Robert E. Howard. Robert E. Howard. Holy shit! Why is this so difficult, Kyle? fucking figure it
Kibbs
out.
is gonna pull up an article because Kibbs has more. Hold on, I forgot where I put it. I don't remember. There it is.
1930s, yes. So no, it's still younger. There you go. 1930s.
Damn.
Conan's fun. I like Conan. It's just like, I'm Conan. I have a big peepee and a sword.
I
And
go
I go on
around.
adventures.
I fuck people and I kill people and I fucking
It's
kill
a
them.
good character progression.
It is. Now, look at the Star Wars thing. Look at it.
No?
Look at it.
No?
KOTOR is getting a remake.
Oh, that. Who cares?
Me cares.
You don't.
Chat
Matter.
cares too.
And even though there was good sci-fi though before Star Wars, like we've got Isaac Asimov's The Foundation, we've got like Caves of Steel, we've
Yes,
got
but
The Moon is a Harsh Mistress.
Popularization. Sci-fi before then had existed, but it wasn't fully popularized until Star Wars popped on. Star Wars did kind of what Tolkien did, which is help popularize it, but it didn't do it as well as Tolkien did in terms of like fantasy elements. But it still managed to popularize science fiction media as a whole. Specifically the first and second movies, because that's when there's an explosion of more sci-fi media following subsequently after that release. Like a lot. And a lot of it was super
Cass is telling me
plagiaristic.
I need to read the Conan books.
Yeah.
I might need to read the Conan books. G-Odds, I haven't had the urge to buy any major IP games from Steam in almost 2 years because of crap like Dark Alliance. It's a good way to view it.
Major
Blogs.
IPs.
Shut horror hole.
Thinking.
Star Wars is based on earlier work from the UK Star Blazer comic. It's therefore not IPable. They even had a Darth Vader costume. Well, it's IPable in that they literally did it. But that, again, that comes down to the entire point that back in the day, derivative works were far more protected than they are now. Games Workshop ripped off so goddamn much from Elric. The Chaos. The entire concept of Chaos is ripped straight from Michael Moorcock. And I usually like to defend Games Workshop because like, oh, but they copied, Drake Reich's Germany and the Renaissance and shit. Yeah, they did, but they did make it their own. Chaos? Straight rip. Straight rip. And you can't do that now. That's because, again, the IP laws they've been created by the corporations to protect themselves, which is really annoying.
They do that. It's strange. Almost terroristic.
It is. It is very much so terroristic.
Yeah.
Crazy loon. See, this is why we need an Arch story channel. I love your way of explaining mythology. Maybe. Penis. Equine penis.
He does like
Cody
big
Davis.
babies.
Remember Bubbles' thigh-slapping thunder sausage? Bubbles is gay.
Fire slapping. Wait,
Homosexual.
what?
No, he is homosexual, Kyle. You know how I know he's homosexual? Because he keeps saying, like, I had ex-girlfriends. That means he has a boyfriend now.
Yeah, but do you have a girlfriend right now, Arch?
Yes, theoretically.
No, you don't. Now,
Shut up.
they're all in the past, just like mine. So that makes all three of us gay. It's like, no.
All of them are crazy, though. That's the problem.
I know,
All of
right?
them are fucking
That's just
insane.
because women are crazy, though.
All of them. Mental patients. Much sadness. Shadow Fox 2300. We already promised to burn down the company if he sells out. Good. And remember to kill Kyle also while you're doing it.
Oh, yeah, good.
Don't let him get away with it.
Yeah. Murder while you're at it.
Luke Jones. Missed most of this due to food and drink coma. Is Skaven RP still on tomorrow? Possibly. It depends on if the Thunder Gods wants to
Yes.
fuck with me or not.
Stormy weather.
But it is planned. It is intended to happen. So cross your fingers.
We'll find out in about a day or so.
Olav Överbro, having been triggered by my lack of knowledge about the Conan books, donating twice as much, €6. Conan books are good. Hour of the Dragon is a good start, as it's sort of self-homage to all the phases of Conan's life. Tower of the Element, if you like Lovecraft, Red Nails is another good starter. I might have to because I do like Conan. I do like Conan because he's just like, I'm big, I'm beefy. I never worked out a day in my life, yet I have the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger during my prime. I also starve frequently, but it doesn't matter. Oh well.
Oh well, indeed. Now, Asper Entertainment.
No, crazy lewd. Just imagine Arch telling every Zeus thirst. Tryst. You know what the word tryst means?
Asper, we're democratizing video games. Democratizing world domination. What kind of fucking slogan is that?
Let's talk about Kyle's dumb stuff before wrapping up with the last few super chats. Kyle, what is this? What is this? Why is this? What is this allowed to exist?
Let me read my notes. So, now there's a lot of news circulation about remasters, and some games need them, right? KOTOR, if you guys remember, is a game that could actually use a little bit of a remaster/remake because a lot of the content wasn't finished. BioWare, being the incompetent pieces of shit that they generally are, had to cut the project a bit short because they were afraid that they would break the game because they didn't quite know how it worked, because early 3D was kind of a bitch and a half. And so they're like, okay, we'll just pump it out. And there was a bunch of restoration patches, if you're familiar, on ModDB that fixed the game's content for both KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2, which is kind of a shame. Now, Asper Entertainment, or Asper, I think is what their name is, I think they're ones put in charge of quote-unquote remastering. They have a pretty good track record. They did a good job on the Stubbs Zombie port. I haven't checked the other ones, because most of their ports were actually just for Nintendo and other console stuff. But they're also being tasked with remastering the Knights of the Old Republic video game. Now, what's a little bit alarming to me, and I don't know if I put much stock into it, but there's a lot of people going on about, like, oh, they're going to change the gameplay to make it an action RPG. It's like, what? Why that's not remastering it. It's like a different game genre altogether, because KOTOR, you remember that, was a turn-based a weird, actually real-time based role-playing video game. Because technically the dice played out in real time. You remember that, right? How long ago was it when you played KOTOR?
You don't make it into an action RPG. Stop that, Kyle. Stop it. Seize it this instant. You vile scum.
I know. And that was my concern. Because people are like, oh, they need to change the gameplay and modernize it. And it's like, no. Don't change it. Just make it work on modern systems. Restore the cut content. Polish it up a bit. And just do it again. Like, I don't know. I don't put much stock into like a bunch of news articles going like they're going to change an action RPG, but it's a little alarming because I don't want to hear that kind of stuff. I don't want them to change it.
According to the article you posted, all of these rumors come from one YouTuber who claimed that anonymous sources gave it to him. Like,
yes, that's which is why I'm hoping that it's false, because I've looked at Asper's track record and I've did a little bit of background tracking on them. Generally, they're pretty solid people. They ported games and they just port them. They make them run. And they add a couple nice things, but they don't really change anything, and they just leave it at the way it is. They did pod racing. They did the games we play Kyle Katarn. I forget what they're called. Got Jedi Outcast and stuff and Jedi Academy, which are really good games, and they've done a pretty good job. They also ported Republic Commando, I think, recently to the Switch and other modern systems. So they're actually enabling people to play those old games again on consoles. Poor console plebs. They don't have backwards compatibility. Now, PC technically has backwards compatibility, but a lot of these games break with time. Now, KOTOR works for me, but I know several people that it doesn't when they try to use the restored content patch. So it would be nice if Asper restores the content and makes it run better for everyone else. That's kind of my hope with it. Because I do think certain games need remaking and need to get their content restored. Stuff that was part of the original vision, but was cut short because of, technical constraints or time limits or budget. You know what I mean? Get the true vision.
But there's an action RPG. You're the one who made it, and you're the one who's going to suffer.
Action RPG is like Diablo, though.
It shouldn't be that.
That's a very different genre altogether. It's like, yes, your action RPG. Like, why?
No, Kyle. Stop it. Don't do it.
Now, that is the final... Wait, is that the final topic? I guess we can also make mention of... Arch didn't include this. We talk about gaming and geek and nerd stuff, as he put it the other day. So I put in the Steam Summer Sale as well. Because we should mention... We don't need to mention anything specific, but the Steam Summer Sale is ongoing, and there are other sales.
Breaking news. Steam holds its sale. It does every single year. The
It
Steam that you
does.
cannot avoid ignoring because it's everywhere. Breaking Kyle, you little cow.
You should check it out.
Bam,
There are
bam,
good deals. Victoria 2
bam.
is $5. That's a pretty
Victoria
good deal.
2 needs a blockade option where I can just randomly go like, country, you don't get my stuff, and country, but I need it. Yeah, no, screw you.
But you know what's a criminal sin? Factorio Dev knows that people feel bad for him because his game isn't on sale. No. What I was gonna see, I was hoping when we mentioned the Steam Summer Sale that I was gonna shield the Factorio game, but he didn't put it on sale. He's too clever. He knows people want his game. Look at him, smug. He knows it's a good game. He doesn't have to put it on sale. That son of a bitch. Factorio's a good game, by the way.
Uncondemn Kyle and his ruthless actions of indignation and hatred towards the Factorio developer.
Sure. Sure, Blondie. Whatever makes you feel better.
Black 1917. Disney is just desperate to make money again. I'm sure they. Well, yes, they have been losing a lot of the money with the parks. That is true. Maybe they'll go under. No, they won't. That is one of those YouTuber topics that do really annoy me. When some channels make like 7 videos, like, Disney's finally going under. Like, no, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not, Kyle. Stop saying it, Kyle. Stop.
You like Disney?
Cease. Desist.
Consume Disney product now. Yes. What Disney product should we consume? I don't even know. Are they even working on anything?
No.
Because I don't even think they're working on jack shit right now. I mean, I'm sure they're doing
Back
something.
when entertainment was gold. Kyle and Arch, what is your jobs IPs?
Jobs IPs. That is a weird... I think I know what he means to ask.
My IP is me, Arch.
No. Arch,
Yeah.
that is not true. There's
That's
more
true.
to that than you're letting on. Arch, what is... Should we talk about your IP? What are you doing?
Bad Kyle.
He's not ready yet. But soon he
Kick.
will be. Soon he will be.
Kick.
It actually... Okay, I will say this.
Check.
It looks actually really good. Like, Arch has shared with me some concepts and ideas of his stuff, and I'm not going to say specifics, but it's got a lot of promise. Like, there's this little blonde boy has an imagination. He's got a vision. He can do
Kyle
it.
doesn't. Kyle only draws penises.
Oh, look at that. I fucking prop him up and he just throws him under the bus. Who's the Disney
He
simp?
sent me concept art. It's all just penis. And it's like, look at how big this character's pee is. Like, Kyle, stop it.
I
please.
actually did, though. That's actually something
You
I
did.
can say. That did actually happen. We did
Like,
show...
look at its pee. It has a pee. I was like, I know,
And
Kyle.
Arch is
but why
like,
is-
that might be too big. I think he said
The
that.
thing is, Kyle is not aware, but there was no Greek people with peepees. You can look at the statues from the time, Kyle. The best historical
I
evidence.
can't
none
pull
of
up
them
the
have
PP for reference, otherwise we'll get in trouble.
None of them have peepees.
Listen to me. Listen to me. It's not about
PP.
the size of the PP that matters. It's about the spirit of the PP and what it represents.
Partially.
Whatever. But, yeah. See, I can show stuff about my IP. But soon, when you see Arch's actually looks really cool. You've got some actually really cool artists working on his project. Or working on
They don't
your
have
project.
peepees.
Well, I would... That's to be determined by you, because you're technically the lore creator, not lore master. You're literally God when you make your own IP. You write them, you make them. How big their PPs is up to you. How girthy they
PPs
are is up to you.
non-existent.
How flat they are and non-existent they are is also up to you.
Black 1917, they did nothing whilst fans were driven away. Reference to Kyle, probably. Yes, Kyle did nothing.
Why would you say that to Keeb?
Captain
Keep-
Caboose, Battletech lore when? I believe Battletech is SJ proof. Hey, from a trucker, kids. Yes, Kyle,
Nice.
more Battletech lore. When?
Battletech lore. Arch should cover it. I've got all the books, and I'll give you access to them. They're pretty
It's
good.
your job, Kyle.
That's not my job.
You don't? Yes, it is.
You can cover Comstar. Oh, yes. Arch should start with the Comstar book. It's great. It's
You
basically a
should
series
start
of
with Comstar book.
silencing people. like, oh, they found some technology. They had an accident. They died.
Chat says you can show classical art PPs on Susan Tube. That is correct. I once saw a video with a woman walking through an art gallery touching PPs in a very suggestive manner, and that was on YouTube.
That's kind of weird.
It was intended to encourage a certain male reaction, Kyle. Touch the PPs. The PP hard.
They're like,
Yes, the
PP
PP's made of
hard.
rock. PP always hard.
That's true. Perpetual hard PP.
Black 917. Now the nest egg was wiped out by the pandemic, and SJW Star Wars don't sell, nor is the merchandise, because the people they panded to at the expense of the fans don't buy anything. That is correct. Their sales are fucking horrible. Long may they remain as such, too. Maybe they'll learn a lesson. We'll get another Star Wars trilogy, Kyle, and this time, it'll be based. They'll be like, yes, the Death Star was an SJW construct all along.
It was.
Skull Throne 888. Factorio Dev makes money. Kibs whingy noises. Why, Kyle? Kyle, why?
What whingy noises? What is he on about?
Complaining noises. I disavow. Crazy Loon. Rome wasn't built in a day, nor did it collapse in a day. Same with Disney. It's collapsing just like any empire does. Well, we'll see about that. I think it'll hold on for a while. Glow in the Dark. Art literally making a non-binary universe with no peepees. Oh, they have genders. They just don't have peepees.
No PP. PP fell off.
Yep. I think they shall I think they'll make babies by rubbing their butts against one another. That sounds funny. And some tentacles.
Got weird.
Queen Nidus. Collab with Raging Golden Eagle when? Also missed most of the stream. Gonna have to re-listen to it at work later. Golden Eagle. I did talk to him once on the Yellow Flashes stream. I should try and weasel my way onto streams and be like, I have a channel. And they're like, really? We don't care. Oh. It would be good. And the Streamlabs Glowy monopolizes the Streamlabs. In the year 2508 AD, oh good, more fan fiction, Disney has successfully copyrighted planets and their population, including Earth. They genetically modified humans to meet their entertainment means. Disney even learned how to monetize Hitler and fascists, the near control of a galaxy. Did they use Kyle's corp to play Hitler?
Very Kyle-centric, aren't we today? Bart's like,
You probably did.
Yees, down to yees. These
The
will be
year
roughly an hour long, says Arch.
674. The Disney Empire almost has bought or conquered 85% of the galaxy, soon to be renamed Disney Galaxy. Only holdouts are the CCP that escaped to space by sacrificing trillions of Chinese to meat grinder of galactic warfare.
Sounds pretty hot.
Loot Hohen. Hey Art, I was wondering if you might do a remaster of your really old lore videos. I might, but so many other things to do. And Glowy, I'm going to be real sad if we need to beg China to whip corporations or liberate us from corporate control, which would completely go against what I wish would happen. See, I'm happy with the corporate Chinese overlords because I shall be a favored pet. I shall be put on a silken pillow and be petted and fed excellent cat food. No objections. PP always hard equals satyriasis. Why do you know that, chat? And why do you write it? Can't weasel on tonight, chat. Bad chat. Ed Chimera, Arch, is there anything we can do to save the Warhammer IP from ultimate collapse? Stop buying their stuff. And then when they come crawling back, then buy their stuff.
Basically, you need to have the collapse happen in order for it to be better. It has to die. The company, specifically.
Disco is talking about neutering people in the chat. Flee.
Let GW die, and everything will be well in the end.
What status will Kibbs have under the glorious Chinese regime? Well, he's a holdout, so he'll be a reactionary, anti-revolution radical element that will be kept in the basement. Mining.
I'm mining. The gulag.
Meanwhile, I'll eat my cat food. Happy.
Look at him simping out.
Oh, Geode's Arch, have you read Or Gas Machine by Ian Watson, author of The Inquisitor Trilogy in 40k? The summary alone is worth reading. Or Gas Machine. This brings to my mind vivid pictures of naked women being railroaded by angry pistons.
But why?
Cal pretends to not know. The 3 laws of feministics. Your body is not your own, it belongs to another. Therefore, you may not damage it. Through inaction, allow it to be damaged. Oh, so basically women as machines. Huh. A valuable concept.
Damn.
Literally, it's I, a robot, but the robot are women.
Damn. Disco sends you a scissor. Because PP snip snip.
I think this is a valuable concept to consider at the very least.
Barge gets snip snip. Uniki snip snip.
No. There would be many things we could use this for. Labor,
Snip snip.
entertainment, movies.
Snip.
Hold
Snip.
on.
He's like,
Hold
I'm
on.
gonna delete Disco's message. I don't want my
Hold
PP to
on.
get snip snip.
No. Far better. I'll send a copy of the book to Disco.
It's PP snip snip?
No. There, that should elicit a response quite quickly.
I'm basically in her DMs telling her to pay me.
And glow in the dark. Be careful, Arch. I've seen Chinese eat their pets. That is true. That is a potential minor danger. Now, thank you all very much for watching. We will wrap this one up there. Thank you all very much for your generous donations to the Keep Kyle in the Basement Fund and Keep Arch with Cat Food Fund.
Huh.
It is much appreciated.
Now,
The
Arch,
pillow grows fluffier every day.
tell people how late the next stream is going to be for the World of Floaty Boats. How long is pastry time?
Pastry time? I have snack time. One episode of Boku no Hero Academy, so about 30 minutes.
30 minutes. So it'll be live on my channel. 30 minutes with Floaty Boats.
Floaty boat.
Floaty Boats. And Arch will be
Yes.
wanting to listen to cringe music. Oh boy.
Let's see. Discordia asks, that's the kind of pet you want me to be. Disco. Calm down, Disco. I didn't say Disco. 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 Disco thinks she's a pet now.
Disco is a pet.
That's true.
Nothing more than a little piece
We
of
do
property.
need to work on the part of making her come when cold, though, because she's like, floaty boat. I don't know. Should I start
My
it?
mind
Yeah.
is in a different place than yours, it seems.
Kyle, disgusting.
Yeah, I'm not the only one, chat.
Disgusting. Kyle, disavow. Disavow. Now, thank you all again very much for watching. Before I wander off on another side thing, have a good day.